Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Tin Man's Quarter Channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor, and today I'm kicking off my new marathon for this other scary storyteller, Spooky Vibes. Hence why I'm wearing my Ghostface shirt and bloody Ghostface mask, because his profile picture is Ghostface with his name underneath it. And just a little quick heads up, I didn't like how the red looked on this mask, so I went back in with some deeper red. Made it look more bloodier. But anyway, the video I'll be reacting to first is 3 disturbing garden center horror stories. So without further ado, I'm going to turn these lights off, move the camera up here for you guys, and let's get this reaction on the road and in the bag, shall we? Okay, dokie, here we go. Right off the bat, I already love this guy's intro. Looks cool.
How many people have experienced something creepy at work? Well, listen to this. For context, I was a female and a junior in high school, working as a seasonal employee at a local garden center just outside Philadelphia. It was the summertime, and I wanted extra cash to save up for a new car. It was an easy job for the most part, and I got paid minimum wage, but all of my co-workers were really cool people, so that's what made it fun.
Yeah, if you find a job that has cool co-workers, then I know most likely people would like to stay there forever until they decide to retire. But it sucks that you're getting paid less than what you want, but hey, at least you're getting paid something, unless you decide to work overtime, you know.
One night, I was closing by myself. This place was pretty understaffed, and closing alone was very common. It was dark outside and around 9 p.m. as I was doing my walk around to make sure the garden center was all set for the openers tomorrow morning. I was walking back inside our building when I heard what sounded like digging. I had all the lights outside turned off, so it was pretty hard to see. I squinted out into all the plants and mulch to try to locate the sound. Maybe a fox or a rabbit was in our mulch digging away.
Yeah, I'll be thinking that too, but I got a feeling it's not a rabbit or a fox. It's probably a human. But what are they doing digging in the mulch? I don't know. But it don't sound good.
But in my heart of hearts, I knew it wasn't either of those, because this sounded much larger. Nervous, I shined my cell phone flashlight around our outside area. I almost screamed when my light fell upon what was digging. It was a man. He was shirtless and hairy. He was bent over where we kept all of our mulch. He had a shovel and seemed to be throwing mulch on top of something. What that something was, I didn't know. I told the man we were closed and he needed to leave right now. The man panted hard, continuing to throw mulch on top of something. I repeated myself, this time saying I will get the police involved if he does not leave right now. He laughed, but it was a calm laugh. Somehow that was worse. The man turned slowly towards me, and I saw in horror that he was covered in blood. I mean literally from his head to shoes, covered in blood.
Oh my goodness, he just murdered somebody. And he's trying to hide the body right there in the garden center. At this point, you need to run back inside the building, lock the door so he wouldn't run up there to get you, and dial 911 quick before he goes away.
He raised the shovel and charged right at me. I sprinted back to the garden center building and locked myself in my boss's office. I pushed the desk in front of the door for extra protection. The man is wailing on the door as hard as he could, screaming to let him in. I remember I was briefly reminded of that scene from The Shining. I knew I didn't have much time, so I called 911 and told them to get over here ASAP. Thankfully, they arrived within 5 minutes. I could hear officers yelling at the man to get on the ground. One of them came in and told me he was safe. The man was in custody. But here's where it becomes truly nightmarish. Police discovered what the man was burying in our mulch. It was a body. It was the man's ex-wife. Apparently, she was filing for full custody of their kids, and he just snapped and killed her. And I still can't believe all this happened to me. It sounds like something straight out of a horror movie, but it was real. And I've since gone to law school and now convict wackos like this and gladly have them sent to jail. But, yeah, that was easily the creepiest experience that I have ever had at work.
Wow. I'll say that was creepy. But that guy did something stupid, not only killing his wife, but burying her in the garden center, trying to hide her. Are you kidding me? If you didn't want to be caught, you could have just buried the body somewhere else and not in no public place like that. Well, he just lost custody of his kids altogether. I know they probably won't forgive him for killing their mom. I wouldn't either. I'm just glad the cops arrived there ASAP, like she said she wanted them to, and got him to get down on the ground and arrest him. And plus, if that man did not do bad things in front of his wife to make her want to get full custody of their kids, he wouldn't have snapped and killed her, and this would not happen. Man, I hope he prays and repents for his sins. And if he does it, I know he's going to be burning in hell for sure. All right, let's get to story number 2.
Everyone has thought about death at one point. It's just natural. But have you ever actually come face to face with it? Here's my story. My boyfriend and I were shopping at our local garden center for new plants for our balcony. It was more so my idea to go since my boyfriend doesn't really care about plants and flowers. Anyway, I was looking for this very specific plant, but both my boyfriend and I couldn't seem to find it. And I told him we need to split up. That way we can find it faster. Maybe about 10 minutes into looking for it, I became frustrated and decided to find an employee for help. When I saw one and approached him, I told him the plant I'm looking for. He had this deadpan look on his face, and his overall demeanor looked depressed.
The person that walks up to you has a deadpan look. I know they've probably been working too long and they're just worn out, so don't take it personally. But I got a bad feeling that this man is up to no good. But I don't want to jump ahead with any conclusions of my own, so let's just continue with the story and see what happens next.
But he nodded his head and said follow him. And I'll be honest, he kind of creeped me out, but I desperately needed to find this plant, so I followed him. He brings me to the small shed at the back of the garden center. He opens the door and says they keep those plants in here. And I was hesitant at first because why would you keep plants inside of a dark shed?
Exactly. I bet you they didn't even have them plants in there. He just said that to lure her in there and probably lock her up for some reason. Oh man, where's her boyfriend at?
But honestly, I just wanted to get the plants and get out of there. So I stepped into the shed. The man stepped in behind me, and that's when I heard the door lock. I knew I made a grave error. I saw the man hold up a huge pair of cutting shears. His eyes looked dead, like there was nothing left in them but pain and emptiness. He told me it was time to die, and lunged at me with the shears. I juked to the left, the shears narrowly missing my neck. He was clipping the shears like he wanted to chop off my head. As he was turning around for a second attack, I did the first thing I could think of. I kicked him as hard as I could in the nuts. He screamed in agony. I bolted for the shed door, pushed the lock open, and ran out of the shed screaming that he was trying to kill me. Employees, customers, and my boyfriend came sprinting over to see what was happening. I frantically explained what happened, but when the 5 men went in to go check the shed, the man who attacked me was gone. I told them it was an employee who attacked me. The manager asked who, and I described him. I was shocked to find that the man wasn't actually an employee at the garden center. He was an ex-employee. He was fired for his short temper and stealing. The police were eventually called, and a report was made. The man's name is Harold Griffin, and to this day, he still hasn't been caught. My theory is that he was a disgruntled ex-employee who snapped and just wanted to harm people. Sad, but this actually happens a lot more than you think. and I just so happened to be the one he wanted to attack that day. So that was my story of coming face to face with death at a garden center. I'm just thankful to be alive.
I'm glad that you're all right, because nobody should go through that type of torture. Can't believe somebody would just go nuts after being fired and try to cut somebody's head off. She won't lying. That was literally looking at the face of death. Man, I wish he got caught. If they know who he was and what he looks like, they should be able to spot him out in the open somewhere. Unless he was smart enough to go to his house, pack up everything, and hightail it to another state. Or even another country, who knows. But she did the right thing in kicking him in the men's private area, because if she didn't act quick enough, he probably would have cut her, or worse, murdered her with them shears. I know he's going to slip up one day and they're going to finally arrest him. I hope they do. Maybe they could convince him to get some anger management therapy. All right, let's get to the story number 3, shall we?
Have you ever had something happen to you that you just couldn't explain? A few years back, I worked for my uncle, who owned a garden center on the outskirts of our small town. It was a very successful business, and we were always busy, especially in the summer. For context, I was an 18-year-old male when this story happened. Well, one night, I was closing the garden center by myself, something I did often. I was in my uncle's office, organizing some paperwork, about to head home, when I saw something strange on our front security camera. There was a man crouched down on his knees by our mulch. The time was 10 p.m., and we had been closed for almost 2 hours by now. I got up and went outside to tell the man that we were closed. When I got outside, I saw the man on his knees and hovering over the mulch. I approached him and told the man that we were closed and that he can come back tomorrow at 8 o'clock if he needs mulch. This is where it gets bizarre. The man turned to face me as he was chewing large amounts of mulch, like he was munching on a mouthful with this wide smile. I told him to drop the mulch. It's not his, and he cannot eat it. It can make him sick. The man chewed and chewed. When he swallowed, he extended a handful and asked if I wanted any. I honestly didn't know if I should be afraid or extremely concerned.
Okay, this guy is completely insane. Mulch is not something you eat. It's something you lay down on the ground to plant plants with. I know that probably leave a bad taste in your mouth, but for him, he don't care.
What kind of man just eats mulch like it's lunch? I told him our garden center is closed and he needs to leave now or I would get the police involved. The man nodded his head in agreement, dropped a handful of mulch, and then walked towards our exit. Satisfied to see the maniac leave, I went back into my uncle's office and finished the paperwork. 20 minutes later, I locked the garden center up, turned off all the lights, and headed for my car. I was about to put my car into drive when someone jumped onto my hood. It was that man again. He had handfuls of mulch in each hand, slamming on my windows and telling me I needed to eat it. It's part of a healthy diet. I put my car into drive and sped for the exit. The man flew off my hood and hit the ground. As I was about to pull out of the garden center parking lot, I saw in my rear view the man sprinting for my car, screaming I needed to eat the mulch. I hit the gas and sped off safely into the night. I called my uncle on my way home and explained what happened. He was just as baffled as me. I continued to work for my uncle another year until I went off to college. That entire time, I never saw that crazy man again. I can't explain what happened that night. Like there was no rhyme or reason for it. What possessed that man to come to our business that late and start eating mulch and then try to attack me and force me to eat it? I don't think I'll ever be able to explain it.
First of all, I would not know why that guy would think that mulch is part of a healthy diet. I mean, it's not for eating. And if I was in that car, I'd be telling him, dude, I'm not eating it. Get off my car. Or I'm calling the cops. But luckily, that guy did the right thing and just sped off and let him fly off his car. But that guy was a total wacko to begin with, it seems like. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on those post notifications for more spooky vibe reactions like this. I'd also like to thank Shane Delaney V4C for suggesting this guy's channel to me as well. And I'm going to be reacting to more of his videos. This has been another successful installment of the Tin Man's Corner channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor. I say that's a wrap, and have a nice day, y'all.